On October 6, 1993, Michael Jordan, the biggest NBA star of all time, announced his retirement from the NBA. After leading the Chicago Bulls to their third championship and while still recovering from the tragic murder of his father, MJ felt his time was up. Just like that, the greatest to ever touch a basketball court was gone. To this day, many people believe there is a bigger conspiracy, specifically that Michael Jordan did not willingly retire. As crazy as all of this sounds right now, once you finish watching this video, you might learn that this so-called conspiracy just might be the truth. Before I begin, I would like to say that I am not saying that everything here is factual or that Jordan did 100% retire for this reason. I'm just providing you with a story, better yet a conspiracy of what me and many people believe is the reason Michael Jordan really retired. So with that being said, let's begin. Welcome to NBA Insider. In the 1970s, Dr. J brought excitement to the NBA. In the 1980s, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird did the same. But in the late 80s and early 90s, Michael Jordan brought something the NBA had never seen. Michael Jordan wasn't just an NBA superstar, he was the NBA. At the time, it was estimated that 70% of all NBA fans considered themselves as Chicago Bulls fans, aka Michael Jordan fans. Anytime Jordan touched a court, away or at home, ticket sales increased like crazy. Bulls merchandise would be sold out the minute they went out. Jordan brought so much revenue into the league that in 1989, NBC was willing to pay $600 million for a 4-year TV contract with the NBA. However, in the fall of 1991, the beginning of the end of Jordan's career had begun, and it was all because of his competitive nature. Michael Jordan loved competition. It was this love that led to his interest in gambling. He gambled on just about anything. He even gambled at North Carolina. He used to bet players sodas or small amounts of money on free throws or games of horse. This gambling continued in the NBA, but with much more money. He would play poker with his teammates on road trips. He was so good at gambling that the Chicago Bulls head coach would warn the younger players not to play poker with him. But it was gambling in golf that would eventually be his downfall. When Jordan first started to gamble in golf, he began betting small, but as his confidence on the golf course grew, so did the money. Jordan had plenty of money and he was a good golfer, just not good enough to avoid losing to the wrong people. In 1991, Jordan went on a week-long gambling spree at his home in North Carolina. By the end of the spree, Jordan owed a man by the name of James Buhler $57,000. However, the money owed was not the problem, but rather the fact that Buhler was a convicted cocaine dealer and had 2 probation violations for carrying semi-automatic weapons. Jordan was gambling with a criminal. This was just the beginning of Jordan's problems. On October 21st, 1991, Jordan paid the $57,000 to Buhler, who placed the money in a bank account. The IRS quickly seized it, believing that the money may have been illegal since Buhler was under investigation for dealing cocaine. This put a spotlight on Jordan, as it would eventually be exposed that the money had come from him. Now, it wasn't looking too good. Jordan told the media that the money was a loan to a friend to start a golf range, a lie that would soon haunt him. Believing this, the court ruled that the IRS violated Buhler's rights in seizing the $57,000 and dropped all charges. Then, in February of 1992, Jordan's friend and fellow gambler Eddie Doe was robbed of $20,000 and murdered just outside his home. In his possession, police found photocopies of 3 checks worth $108,000, another gambling debt Jordan had owed. 2 of the checks were from Jordan's personal account. The third was a check by Jordan. Exactly 1 year after paying Buhler the $57,000, Michael Jordan was back in court at Buhler's trial for drug and money laundering charges. Under oath, Michael Jordan confessed that the $57,000 was not a loan but indeed a gambling debt. This clearly did not make Jordan's image look good. In June of 1993, another Michael Jordan gambling story broke loose. This one from a businessman named Richard Esquinas. Esquinas claimed that during a 10-day period in 1991, Jordan had lost $1.25 million to him gambling on golf. No one believed his story until he proved it with cancelled paychecks received from Jordan. Jordan didn't lie this time. Instead, he issued a statement. "I have played golf with Richard Esquinas with wagers made between us. Because I did not keep records, I cannot verify how much I won or lost. I can assure you the level of our wagers was substantially less than the preposterous amounts that have been reported." Even after proving guilty, Jordan still denied having gambling addictions. He told NBC News, "If I had a gambling problem, I'd be starving. I'd be hawking this watch, my championship rings. I would sell my house. My kids would be starving. I do not have a problem." After this interview, NBC News decided to press NBA Commissioner David Stern in regards to Jordan's gambling problems. They would eventually lay off the story. Jordan stopped talking to the media as they would begin to twist his words. For Stern and the NBA, Jordan's silence might have been a blessing in disguise, but by now the NBA already had enough. They had been through this once before in 1992 with the Buhler incident. That so-called investigation ended, even though the 2-week investigation was really just a 2-hour meeting with Jordan, his attorneys, referees, and top NBA officials. The NBA never questioned either Buehler or any of the local or federal investigating officers in the case and never asked to see the records from Buehler's trial. Jordan was merely given a slap on the wrist and told to watch who he associates with. Jordan himself said, "Was I gambling with goons who had bad reputations? Yeah, I was. Should I not gamble with goons anymore? Yeah, I shouldn't gamble with goons." Then comes 1993. By now, Jordan was on strike 2. Out of nowhere comes accusations of Jordan's involvement in gambling and betting on sports such as baseball. And of course, he would be found guilty, thus giving him a 3rd strike. For him, that was the last straw. The NBA was upset about all the negative attention they were receiving from Jordan and his gambling. However, what was potentially even more threatening to the league than MJ's gambling was the fact that he was consistently associating with criminals. By this point, NBA Commissioner David Stern stepped in and talked to Michael Jordan about retirement. Many people believe that the news conference held on October 6, 1993 was what it seemed to be. There were no tears in Michael Jordan's eyes. There was no sadness, no cracking voices. Simply a statement followed by some quick, easy to answer questions, and then boom, retirement. Just like that, Michael Jordan was out the NBA. However, the question that still bothers people to this day is, why did Jordan decide to retire? A year and a half later, he was back playing for the Bulls. I guess even after being named Rookie of the Year, leading the league in scoring for 7 years in a row, being named MVP twice, winning the NBA championship 3 times, and being the greatest player to ever play the game, Jordan found something else he needed to prove. The murder of James Jordan, Michael Jordan's father, on July of 1993 surely weighed heavily on Michael's mind at the time. This was supposedly another reason for Jordan's retirement. Although some people have speculated that his father's death had something to do with Jordan's gambling, I don't believe that to be the case. I personally don't even believe that Jordan willingly retired. I believe the NBA came to Jordan and told him he needs to lay low just until this bad image of his gambling cleared up. They didn't want to see him go down for gambling, but at the same time they couldn't seem to control him. So they asked him to retire and seek some help. Allow the media to cool down and soon the public will forget all about it. Go play baseball so you can keep in shape and remain at least somewhat in the spotlight. Then, when the time is right, Jordan would be allowed to return to the NBA. Jordan even made a very interesting comment during his retirement press conference. When asked, "Will you miss the sport?" he replied, "I'm pretty sure I'll miss the sport. 5 years down the line, if the urge comes back, if the Bulls will have me, if David Stern lets me back in the league, I may come back." Very interesting to hear him say, "if David Stern lets me back in the league." Almost as if he was trying to emphasize that Stern was holding something over his head. Even during his second retirement, he once again emphasized David Stern. He thanks Stern for giving him the opportunity to play the game of basketball. But how exactly did Stern give him an opportunity? Did he draft him? Did Stern offer him a contract? Did he put him in the starting lineup? No, no, and no. All things of which Stern had nothing to do with. But instead, as MJ said at his first retirement press conference, by letting him back in the league. After seeing a loss of money in the NBA, the league wanted him to return. They needed him to return. There was no replacement for Michael Jordan. And in the middle of the 1994-1995 season, he made his comeback. Apparently, he had put the gambling behind him and would go on another 3 seasons with the Bulls, winning the championship in all 3. But everyone would continue on as if nothing had happened, like it was all a blur. To sum this video up, I think Jordan's retirement was allegedly created by NBA Commissioner David Stern to seek counseling for his growing addiction to gambling, an addiction that was well known everywhere. Jordan's retirement was made to keep this as secret as possible so that both him and the NBA could keep their reputations clean. You may be asking yourself, why should I care if Jordan did retire on his own or if the NBA forced him? The answer is simple. If there was more to the Jordan story than we know, then the NBA is covering up the facts. And on this channel, I like to give you guys all the facts. That's why I call it NBA Insider. I tell you information that the NBA doesn't want you to know. I also upload NBA countdowns, player comparisons, interesting stories, and so on and so forth. So if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, if you guys have any recommendations for future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. And as always, thanks for watching NBA Insider.